Good evening again, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Loyal Hufflepuff, and today we will prayerfully finish our reading in Flora and Ulysses. This will be part 3 of our final part of Shadow and Bone. Shadow and Bone, Flora and Ulysses. Written by DiCamillo. I have an idea how to do this. It'll be different than the other parts I've done. And we'll see how this plays out. So without further ado, let us finish our reading with Flora and Ulysses. Chapter 66. So, said Dr. Meacham, we have been speaking with Ulysses. We have been working to understand his story. From what we have put together so far, it involves a shovel, a sack, and the woods, and a poem. And a giant donut, said Flora's father. Ulysses, sitting on Flora's shoulder, nodded vigorously. A distinctly fishy smell emanated from his whiskers. Flora turned to him. Where's my mother? She said. Ulysses shook his head. Pop? Said Flora. Where's Mom? I'm not certain, said her father. He adjusted his hat. He tried to put his hands in his pockets, and then he realized he was wearing pajamas and had no pockets. He laughed. Holy Bagumba, he said softly. We need a typewriter, said Flora. Ulysses nodded. We need a typewriter so that we can get to the truth, said Flora. The truth, said William Spiffer, is a slippery thing. I doubt that you'll ever get to the truth. You may get to a version of the truth, but the truth, I doubt it very seriously. Will you please shut up, William Spiffer, said Flora. Shh, said Dr. Meacham. Calm. You should maybe sit and eat a sardine. I don't want a sardine, said Flora. I want to know what happened. I want to know where my mother is. Just as she said these words, there was a bang, which was followed by a long, bone-chilling yowl, which was in turn followed by a very loud scream. Was that William Spiffer? What was that? Said William Spiffer. That's Mr. Claus, said Flora. He's attacking someone. There was another scream, and then came the words, George! George! Uh-oh, said Flora's father. It's Phyllis. Mom, said Flora. Ulysses tensed. He dug his claws into Flora's shoulder. Flora looked at him. He nodded. And then Flora's father was running out the door. And Flora was behind him. And William Spiffer was behind her. Another of her mother's screams echoed down that hallway. George! George! She shouted. Please tell me that my baby is here. Flora turned and said to Tootie, Bring the lamp. She's worried about Marianne. There was another scream. And this is another comic book section. It was time again for the squirrel to vanquish a villain. It was time for Ulysses to rescue his arch nemesis. He jumps off of Flora. He starts flying. And they're watching. I'm on it, says Tootie. I'm bringing the lamp. And they're going after, see what's going on. I'll show you that section really quick. Alrighty. And we'll do this part right here. George! Looks like they're fighting. There's a war going on, looks like with what's going on with the cat and the parents, looks like. George is getting attacked by the cat. Ulysses gets the cat by the tail. Who will prevail? Who will be vanquished? Please, George, tell me that Flora is here, said Phyllis. The cat's trying to get to Flora's mom, but Ulysses still has him by the tail. So, right here. See right there with what's going on. Alrighty. Me? Thought Flora. She's here, said Flora's father. Flora's mother started to cry. Everyone needs to calm down, said Tootie. I've got it. She waded into the fray and whacked Mr. Claus over the head with Marianne. The cat fell to the ground, and the little shepherdess, as if she were astonished by her own act of violence, crumbled. Her face, her beautiful, perfect pink face, broke. There was a twinkle and a crash as the pieces of Marianne's head hit the floor. Oops, said Tootie. I broke her. Uh-oh, said Flora. But her mother wasn't looking at the lamp, or what was left of the lamp. She was looking at Flora. Flora, her mother said. Flora, I went home, and you weren't there. I was terrified. Here she is, said William Spiver. He gave Flora a gentle shove toward her mother. Here I am, said Flora. Her mother stepped over the pieces of the broken little shepherdess. She took Flora in her arms. My baby, she said her mother. Me? Said Flora. You, said her mother. End of chapter 66. Beginning of chapter 67. Flora's mother was sitting on the horsehair sofa. Flora's father was sitting next to her. He was holding her hand, or she was holding his. In any case, her mother and her father were holding onto each other. Dr. Measham was putting alcohol on Flora's mother's bites and scratches. Ouch! Ouch! Ooh! Said Flora's mother. Come, said Dr. Measham to Flora. She patted. Where was I? She patted the horsehair sofa. Sit down here, beside your mother. Flora sat down on the couch and immediately started to slide off it. There was a trick to sitting on the horsehair sofa. No, sorry. Was there a trick to sitting on the horsehair sofa? Because she certainly hadn't mastered it. And then William Spiver sat down beside her so that she was wedged in between her mother and him. Flora stopped sliding. And I went up to your room, said Flora's mother. I climbed the stairs to your room, and you weren't there. I was out looking for Ulysses, said Flora. I thought you had kidnapped him. It's true, confessed her mother. I did. Ulysses, sitting on Flora's shoulders, nodded. His whiskers brushed her cheek. I wanted to make things right somehow. I wanted to make things normal, said Flora's mother. Normalcy is an illusion, of course, said William Spiver. There is no normal. Hush up, William, said Tootie. And when I returned, and you weren't there, said Flora's mother. She started to cry again. I don't care about normal. I just wanted you back. I needed to find you. And here she is, Mrs. Buckman, said William Spiver in a very gentle voice. Here I am, thought Flora, and my mother loves me. Holy Bagumba. And then she thought, oh no, I'm going to cry. And she did cry. Big fat tears rolled down her face and landed on the horsehair sofa and trembled there for a second before they rolled off. You see, said Dr. Measham. She smiled at Flora. I told you. This is how it is with this sofa. Mrs. Buckman, said William Spiver. What is that you are holding in your left hand? What is that piece of paper? It's a poem, said Flora's mother, by Ulysses. It's for Flora. Look at this, said Tootie. They all turned and looked at Tootie. She was standing by the headless Marianne, who was plugged in and shining. It still works. Isn't that something? And here's a picture of them all right here, including the lamp. Looks like it's something good, hopefully. It means that this is a good sign. that they're wanting to come back together. "Why don't you read the poem, Phyllis?" said Flora's father. "Oh, goody," said Tootie. "A poetry reading." "It's a squirrel poem," said Flora's mother. "But it's a good one." Ulysses puffed out his chest. "Words for Flora," her mother said. "That's the title." "I like that title," said William Spiver. He took hold of Flora's hand. He squeezed it. "Don't squeeze my hand," said Flora, but she held on tightly to William Spiver, and she listened as her mother read the poem that Ulysses had written. End of chapter 67, beginning of chapter 68. This poem was just the beginning, of course. There would be more. He needed to write about how they always answered the door in Blundermeason. He needed to write about the saving of Phyllis Buckman from Mr. Claus. He needed to write about Marianne's broken, still shining self, and little fishes. He needed to write a poem about little fishes. Also, he wanted to write about things that hadn't happened yet. For instance, he wanted to write a poem where William Spiver's mother called and asked for him to come home, and a poem where the other Dr. Measham came and visited this Dr. Measham and sat beside her and hummed to her and watched her sleep. And maybe there would be a poem about a horsehair sofa, and one about a vacuum cleaner. He would write and write. He would make wonderful things happen. Some of it would be true. All of it would be true. Most of it would be true. Ulysses looked out the window and saw the sun glowing on the horizon. Soon it would be time to eat. A wonderful thought occurred to the squirrel. Maybe there would be donuts, giant donuts, for breakfast. And end of chapter 68. And here's what we call the epilogue. Words for Flora. Nothing would be easier without you, because you are everything. All of it. Sprinkles, quarks, giant donuts, eggs sunny side up. You. Are the ever expanding universe to me. And that's the end of the book of Flora and Ulysses. I hope you all enjoyed this 3-part ending. I will be putting it on YouTube tonight, and I hope you all enjoy this 3-part special of the end. To me, the end of this book seemed a little bit rushed together. I know I don't know if it's a classic or something, but I can definitely say that it was a little rushed at the end, where everything got put together. It was a nice little touch, but like I said, it's hard to say where the characters are at this point. I'm not sure if I trust Flora's mom, but it's shows signs of there being positivity. And of course, William Spiver is still a bit of annoying to me. But anywho, I hope you all enjoyed this book. I'm gonna try something new. We are gonna do, because I found some questions back here just recently. They're called Questions to Consider. I'll have a separate video channel for that, and we're gonna focus on those questions. How we're gonna do it, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I will see about maybe bringing up some questions in regards to the books we've been reading on my channel and the different videos that you guys have been watching. Thank you so much for your support for my videos. Until next time, this is the Loyal Hufflepuff, and we will go back to doing Siege and Storm. And until then, hope you all have a blessed evening.